to this.
Let him laugh, let him weep, let him yell, let him sing. All they wanna say. Let him lay me traps and men to pray to Jehovah, me I pray. Let him laugh, let him weep, let him yell, let him sing. All they wanna say. Let him lay me traps and men to pray to Jehovah, me I pray. Let I be me instead of playing games. For chasing fame, let somebody set the lack of flames. No, living my life to the fullest and shout out my halala to the fullest. Let my lungs out. I'm still rising up to greater heights as long as
Hello, Ponjus and Monani. Welcome to Rise to Greater Heights Network, where you can turn your fears into greater success while seizing new opportunities. It is so significant to have a positive mindset, more especially under these circumstances. So this network has the potential to completely revolutionize every aspect of your life and career. My name is Dr. Riel Nkunene, and I'm going to be your host for today. So if you're watching us online, please feel free to put in the chat box where you're watching us from and what you hope to achieve from our podcast. Today, we are surrounded by greatness in the World Wide Web. We have amazing speakers who's going to share some nuggets on human rights. So in Scotland, we have Ross Fraser. And Ross is going to be sharing on autism as well as suicide prevention. In Michigan, we have Mary Held. And Mary is going to share on sexual assault. So at this moment, I'll just let our speakers to introduce themselves. So you can go ahead, Rose.
Sorry, technology issues. Hi, everybody. As you can tell, I'm not very good at the technical side. I'm an autistic human rights activist from Scotland, working on a global campaign called New Life Autistic as part of My Life Autistic with my partner in America, Jenny Curtis.
It's so good to have you, Rose. You can go ahead, Mary, and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Mary Held. I'm going to be talking today about sexual assault, primarily from a personal aspect. It doesn't have to be a life sentence. You can not only survive it, you can thrive after sexual assault. So I'm hoping to get that message out to some people today.
It's such a great honor to have both of you on our platform, and thank you for saying yes, because I believe our audience, with all the messages that you're going to share, really they will be motivated and empowered. So thank you. You know, like here at Rise to Greater Heights Network, because when we talk of human rights, it's quite a sensitive topic to discuss in the public. So we always have a disclaimer. Rise to Greater Heights Network is only here to provide information about human rights to the public. So legal information is not the same as legal advice as to the application of law to an individual's specific circumstances. So we cannot offer any legal advice in response to specific questions. So we strongly recommend that you consult a lawyer if you need such help. So Rose, I have a question for you. If you happen to have your own billboard, by the way, I can see your billboard coming down there in the busy highway in Scotland. What will your billboard say?
I would probably just say Ross Fraser and Jenny Curtis, My Life Autistic, be kind to your mind.
Oh, wow. Wow. You are a true advocate of autism. I love that billboard. I love it. I love it. So how about you, Mary? Maybe your billboard is already down there in the busy highway in Michigan. What will your billboard say?
I wish it was. It would say PTSD is not a life sentence, not a life sentence.
Today, we're talking of autism and PTSD. It's not a life sentence. Wow, I love both billboards, really. So I believe my billboard will be the third billboard driving down the highway. And it's going to say what? You know what? The sky is no longer the limit, but the sky is now our point of view. So let's all rise to greater heights. So it's definitely coming. So you should be on the watch out. It's coming. So we're going to get started, good people. We're going to get started. We're going to start with Rose Fraser. Rose Fraser, he's going to be talking about autism as well as suicide prevention. So Rose Fraser is the creator. Rose Fraser is the creator of My Life Autistic, who was self-taught in the last 11 years, with no real formal qualifications. He has worked alongside mycologists as well as interacted with neurologists to confirm his autism theory. So Rose is an author and a human rights activist for the autistic and neurodivergent community. He is the rewriter of popular songs for the autistic community and has been shared to several platforms by many artists, including Adele, Beyonce, John Legend, Ocean Colorsin, Radiohead, Sister Slate, just to mention a few. So kings and queens, please join me and welcome Rose Fraser.
Yeah, it's been a crazy year, to be honest with you. It's quite mad to think that that's all happened in the last year. When it comes to suicide prevention for the autistic community, I think there's one word that's really important, and that's acceptance. Because if you don't feel accepted, you don't feel like you have a place in this world. You don't feel that you have a future. You don't feel that basically your life is going to be anything but a fight. And the problem is, I think too many young autistic people see that world, see a world where everything is going to be a challenge, everything is going to be a fight. And the really upsetting thing for me about it is that it doesn't need to be that way. You know, if we adjust the world slightly, it can be a lot better for autistic people. We communicate in a different way. You know, we process senses in a different way. We process information and emotions in a different way. But everything is judged and everything is created at the moment for a neurotypical mind. So, you know, we're the ones that are classed as strange or weird or different. You know, we are different, absolutely. But our differences shouldn't make us isolated. Our differences shouldn't make us feel that we don't have a place in this world. And I mean, I tried to commit suicide twice at the age of 10 and 13. The only reason I wasn't able to go through with it is because I didn't want to upset anybody. And I'll be honest, I didn't know if anybody was going to be upset. I didn't know if it would make any difference in the world if I committed suicide. And that's how I felt, because I couldn't talk to my own parents, my brother. I couldn't talk and make friends, you know. My life was a very isolated one, and it doesn't need to be. I think that's the most important message, because it really doesn't. We just need to be better understood. We need to have the right education in place. We need to have, you know, more information out there about the way that autistic people think, process information, process sensory information. You know, media, there needs to be media for autistic people, because we don't think in the same way as a neurotypical person. But that's literally pretty much the only media there is out there at the moment. You know, you don't have songs that capture an autistic experience. We don't have TV shows, you know, on daytime TV with neurodivergent psychologists or lawyers, or, you know, where's the advice for us? Because we need things delivered in a different way. We need precise information. We need pretty much no filler, bullet point, straight to the point and direct, you know. And the world is very rarely straight to the point and direct, let's be honest. So there's all these gray areas and there's all these kind of different layers to society, which we may not even see. I mean, the way we naturally think, we may not see that. We may have to learn that. So autistic people have to learn to fit into society, fit into, you know, a world that was never made for us and may not even make sense to us. You know, being autistic is a challenge at the moment. It doesn't need to be. Being autistic can be a very frightening and overwhelming experience. It doesn't need to be. You know, we live in a world where there's so much sensory information now that you can end up having meltdowns every single day. And a meltdown is a mental overload. If you're not aware, basically what happens is your mind goes, right, too much now, that's it, you know, and you have a meltdown. Consciousness at that point is pushed to the back of your mind. So physical reactions are completely out of your control. If you're lucky like me, you might be able to use a protective instinct so that when, you know, a violent reaction happens, you start using it on yourself rather than someone else. And I've given myself concussion many times doing that, but it means I don't hurt my daughter. I don't hurt my wife. I'm the only one that gets hurt when I have a meltdown, you know. But meltdowns are not caused by me. They're caused by the world around me. They're caused by environmental factors. So I have to spend pretty much every minute of every day trying to control my environment, trying to make sure that I have more control over me than the world around me does. You know, it's not a pleasant life. It's not a life at times. You get knocked around like you're a pinball and someone else is holding the flippers, you know. We need to adjust the world. Suicide prevention starts with acceptance, inclusion, and representation. You know, if you don't see yourself, don't feel that you have a part in this world. And if a child sees that, unfortunately, it may mean that they just don't want to keep going. They don't want to keep fighting. They don't want to live a life where they don't think they can be them, you know? This world isn't owned by anybody. It shouldn't be access only to anybody, you know? We are born, we should have our lives. We only get one chance. We should get that chance. So suicide prevention, in a nutshell, I suppose it comes down to realizing that autistic people are different. We are not the same. We should not be pushed into a neurotypical box that we don't fit into. We should not be tried to be changed or adjusted. You know, I was talking to somebody the other day about therapy, and I said, I have a really clear line when it comes to therapy. You know, if you've got, say you've got two therapies, one's trying to teach an autistic person how to be neurotypical, the other one's trying to teach the person how to be their authentic autistic self, how to adjust to the world in a way that doesn't lose them. That's the one you go for. Because I've tried this. This is the one I went through. And I didn't get my voice until last year at 42. So, you know, autistic people have a place in this world. Autistic people could add huge things to this world because we're really creative thinkers. You know, we have a thought process that is very different from a neurotypical mind. I said before that neurotypical people and neurodivergent people see the world in two completely different ways. it shouldn't be a case of either one is right. We should be looking at both views together. You know, that's how we change the world. That's how things get better for people, because at the moment, you know, what we're getting is, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You've got a cognitive disorder. Like, really? Hi, cheers. That helps. Thanks. You know, autistic people have a place in this world, but we need to create it. We need to make the paths. We need to make the roads. And for that, we need access. We need media to open up access. We need, you know, schools to consider changes, education to consider changes in a whole. I mean, like I was saying to somebody the other day, autistic people tend to be more nocturnal than during the day just because there's less sensory information. So you don't get knocked as much. So why isn't there schools that work on 24-hour basis that allow children to attend when's best for them? Because if the family's working night shift and that, you're disrupting everything by having everything so rigid. And I don't get the point of it. We have the internet, we have resources, we have tools. Let's use them. Let's actually put something in place that's adaptable to people and doesn't make people adapt to a world that may not fit them. So yeah, suicide prevention is, I would say, obtainable. But it needs a lot of people working on it. It needs a lot of people realizing that the world we have now is what's disabling. That's what's causing the problem. You know, we change that. We change the fact that autistic people are disabled. And don't get me wrong, there will be autistic people with other conditions, you know, regressive autism that may need support their entire lives. But there will be autistic people who absolutely thrive given the right tools, given the right support, given the right environment. You know, it's really heartbreaking to hear this thing that all autistic people are disabled. No, the world impacts on autistic people so much that it can disable us. That's the truth. You know, that's what the world needs to know. And if we don't change that, nothing changes. You know? So if anybody wants to get in touch with me, I'm available. Myself and Jenny Curtis are available on My Life Autistic. We do caregiver and community comments. So, we do caregiver and community comments. So if anybody wants to put out a post on our platform, they're more than welcome to get in touch with us. We wanted My Life Autistic to be a place for conversation, real, honest, open conversation, where people can talk about their lives, people can, you know, interact with caregivers and just try and support the community, the next generation. So if you want to take part, please send us a post. We'll have a look at it and get it up on the site and social media. We're also available on mylifeautistic.com or our social media pages.
Wow, Rose, thank you so much for opening up, for sharing such a profound, much needed message. You've mentioned that prevention starts with acceptance, and autistic people, they are so creative. So education has to accept change. Education needs to accept changes around that area, because I believe that everyone is born free and everyone has the right to life, and we should be treated the same way that we can treat our brothers, our sisters. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rose, for sharing such a much needed message. And I believe that the audience will reach out to you. If they need an advocate for autism, you are the go-to. If they need an activist for human rights, you are the go-to. So our audience really should reach out to you. I can see a comment here. I can see our audience is watching, and Mariah Cox, she's saying that thank you so much for being able to open up, Rose. And I can see Stella, I can see Benoit, I can see them watching online. Really, our audience have been moved. Our audience have been already changed by you opening up. Really, the change that we really want to see must first begin with both me and you, and it has already started. So thank you so much, Rose, for sharing such a much needed message. So now we are moving, we're flying from Scotland to the US. We have Mary Held. Mary Held suffered for 11 years with debilitating seizures. I hope I didn't butcher that name. She was misdiagnosed with epilepsy, among other things. She finally found EMDR therapy and discovered she had PTSD from sexual abuse as a child, domestic violence, and other traumas. So EMDR stopped her seizures and she now lives a life full of joy. She wrote a book about her experience with EMDR called Unfreezing Trauma, my private journal of EMDR recovery. So for more information, you can find all this information at unfreezingtrauma.com. So kings and queens, please join me and welcome Mary Held. Okay,
Thank you for having me.
oh, sorry. There you go.
All right. Thank you for having me. Ross, you were amazing in your kind of global view of what we can do with autism and how we can change the world. Sexual assault has a global picture too. I mean, women, children, some men around the world in all kinds of situations. And to stop sexual assault, we need political things, we need legal, we need law enforcement, we need cultural changes, we need attitude changes, and that's on the larger scale. But what I want to talk about is what happens to the individual. What happened to me when I was sexually assaulted? What happens to a lot of people when they get sexually assaulted? In my life, it started, a couple of scenarios, ongoing scenarios when I was a child. Thank God it was outside of my nuclear family. So I had an intact nuclear family. Then I had several incidents in my 20s. And what I did was ignore it all. I got it, I put it away in the right side of my head. All of this stuff was stored. I didn't pay attention to it. I said, yes, it happened, push it away. Yes, it happened, push it away. And so it was pushed back here behind all kinds of walls. I just wasn't paying any attention to it. And I was going along okay. I had an okay life. I teach at college level, remedial mathematics. I was doing fine. I got the opportunity to go to United Arab Emirates and teach me. I was there as a white Western woman, you have high status. And while I was there, a white Western woman got raped. And when that happened, the whole police force got galvanized. They brought out the dogs. They found the person. They tried him. They convicted him. They went all out after it. And it was like, wow. So they're serious about it here. They mean it, that they're not going to tolerate this kind of thing. And I felt kind of a loosening in myself. I felt a safety. When I came back to the States, though, the fear came back. And I still wasn't acknowledging it. So here I am, I'm teaching, I start to feel shaky, and I call somebody to take my class because something's wrong with me, and my arm starts flying all over. And I can't stop it, and I don't know why it's happening. And that was the start of the seizures. Eventually, they went to both arms, both legs, my head, my shoulders, everything but my trunk. So I could stay upright and I didn't lose consciousness. So if you have to have seizures, that's the best ones to have. I knew I was going to have one, so I could get off the stairs. I could stop doing, dangerous activities, and I could be there. But I couldn't work. I couldn't, go out. I couldn't plan on doing something and actually turn up for it. what I ended up doing, and as I went to doctors and got different diagnoses, they all prescribed different pills. I got to the point where all I was doing was seizing and sleeping and getting up and maybe eating something and seizing and taking drugs and sleeping. And that was not a life. That was just not a life. I switched over to a new psychiatrist who had a different point of view. And we went after triggers, and we found triggers, and I got to the point where I could teach 9 hours a week, and I could go to a couple of 12-step meetings. And that was all I could do. But coming from where I was doing nothing, that was real good. Well, my son tried to kill himself. He wasn't successful. He didn't try again, but that affected me to the point where my 9 hours started getting less and less. And I'm getting desperate. It's like I can see what little life I have slipping away. So I'm in a meeting and I'm seizing away. And the man next to me puts his arm on my hand and he says, and I calmed down, which was unusual because usually if he tried to stop me, it would get worse. After the meeting, he said, there's something I think can help you. It's called EMDR, which stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. And I said, yeah, right, because nothing had helped so far. What kind of drugs do they want to give me? But what happened was I researched it. It made sense. It seemed like it could work. I found a therapist. All this was really hard, because you gather up all these little tiny pieces of hope and little tiny pieces of belief, and you put them together and you make a phone call. And then you just do little things by little things. I got into EMDR and we started talking about traumas, and it changed. EMDR is based on bilateral stimulation. So I would follow fingers with my eyes. Sometimes there's balls on the screen or light bars. You can do it tapping the knees or audio things that go back and forth. But it's that bilateral stimulation that when you're thinking about the trauma, it opens it up again. So I'll talk just about one of the traumas that I had. I had a man I was dating kind of set me up for a gang rape. And so I go there, and before we start, I'm thinking, this is something I caused. There's something about me that draws evil to me. That's why it happens to me. It doesn't happen to other people. They don't understand. This is my life. I draw evil. And so when I go out of the house, I'm in a danger zone because people do these things to me. So I went through it in their EMDR, and that was the first time I realized that this man had to set it up. It wasn't a spontaneous happening that, 4 of his best friends just happened to stop by. He had set this up. This was something that he had agreed to. It wasn't me. It was him. He was a very sick man. His friends were very sick people. But that was something that happened with some particular people at a particular time. It didn't come over into the rest of my life. And it got to go back in time because trauma, you replay. It replays in the same way. It doesn't feel like it's a long time ago. It feels like it's happening or could happen right now. This moved it so that it was all in the background. Now, it took me just 16 sessions. We processed 2 childhood, 3 adult traumas, 16 sessions. And at the end of the sessions, at the very end, it was like this whole side of my head, instead of being this stronghold with a concrete bunker and concrete boxes and chains and all this stuff, holding this trauma in so it doesn't explode onto my life, it was empty. And in this empty space, I can dance, you know? All of that stuff went back in time. And it is too bad that this stuff happened, you know? But, oh, well, it's not happening today. It only took up hours or days of my life. I have a lot of life outside of it. And so at the end of it, you also want to make sure that everybody else who's had trauma knows this. You know, you want to go out and tell everybody. So what I did, my therapist and I worked together on this book, you know, Unfreezing Trauma, my private journal of EMDR recovery. We worked on the book to get the book out to tell people about it. We tried going around and just doing little talks, but that didn't go very far. So we ended up with the book. And then podcasts came along. And I thought, what a wonderful way to tell people about it, because there are a lot of people who are stuck there, who replay that, who are afraid in situations, who may be afraid to go out of their house. A lot of people do that kind of thing, and they don't need to. EMDR works. So that's pretty much what I want to tell the world. You know, if you have had a trauma in your life that replays, there is something that can make it be past, and you can go on and enjoy your life.
Wow, Mary. I saw a comment. One Princess is asking that, can you please repeat the meaning of EMDR? Or if you can just share in the chat box. That's what she's asking.
Okay, I'll share in the chat box. It is, whoops, EMDR, which stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing.
Okay.
If you go to my website, there will be places where you can find out more about EMDR. There's a place where you can go to where you can find therapists that can help you with EMDR. Just some general explanation about it, some more of my story. There's a lot of resources on the website. So if you recognize yourself in this description of trauma, find an EMDR clinician. Try to get some work, because it is faster than talk therapy, and it's faster than exposure therapy. The insurance companies are tending to recognize it. So more and more insurance companies are going to cover your EMDR treatment. So yeah.
Wow, wow. You know, this knowledge is gonna change someone's life out there. Like you've mentioned that you were cured from PTSD, and others can be cured too. So EMDR, good people, go out there and look for the therapy, and trust me, it worked for Mary, it's gonna work for you. So thank you so much, Mary, for sharing such a profound, much needed message for our audience here. So thank you, my sister. So to our audience online, please feel free, if you have any questions to any of the speakers, if you have any questions for Rose, if you have any questions for Mary, please feel free to drop a line in the chat box, and then we're going to come back and attend to your questions at the end of the podcast. And remember, if you haven't shared this live stream right now, please do so. Share to your networks, share to your loved ones, share as much as you can, because this message, it needs to be heard. Autism, sexual assault, suicide prevention, PTSD, all these messages that have been shared by these amazing speakers, it needs to reach the world. So please click on the share button, and then go ahead on YouTube. When you get on YouTube, go and subscribe on our channel, Rise to Greater Heights Network, because This message is only here for only 24 hours, but on YouTube, it's going to be there. You're going to watch the replay until like you're tired. So go out there, subscribe to our channel, and remember to share. Remember to post your comments. Remember to ask questions on this platform, and then we're going to attend to your questions at the end of the podcast. So I'm going to be the next speaker right now, but before I speak, I'm just going to share my bio, and then I will come back and speak. So please enjoy.
Non-Pumelelo Rial Kunene is a highly sought-after, energetic, certified Les Brown international speaker. She is the author and host to Rise to Greater Heights, a book and YouTube channel to turn your fears into greater success while seizing new opportunities. Rial is also a coach, mentor, and an MC, well known for encouraging many to rise from mediocrity into greatness. Her vision is not only to motivate, but also to empower audiences with a fresh perspective, inspiration they require to pursue success and drive sustainable outcomes in a seriously funny way. Rial believes that we are in full control of our choices. Her mission is to meet the needs and transform lives of her clients and her audience. Rial's book, Rise to Greater Heights, has inspired and empowered many to pursue their personal and professional passion to become go-getters. Her goal is to study your current situation, identify limiting beliefs, then design a plan of inspired action to empower you to achieve specific outcomes in your life. Rial Kunene wears many hats as a professional certified sales manager, CEO, strategist, certified travel counselor, trainer, esthetician, philanthropist, diplomacy protocol officer, international human rights analyst, and a commissioner for OAS. Following her dreams gave her purpose to see her goals through and understand that she does have everything she needs to reach her full potential. Her everyday message is that your journey to be a better person starts with you. So knowing who you are to your core will make you understand that you are the only one who can accomplish your dreams. Hebrews 11, Psalm 27 and 40. Keep her to rise to greater heights. Kings and queens, please join me. Welcome, Rial Kunene!
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, amazing speakers, for sharing such a profound message around human rights. I'm just thinking, you've just set the bar high for me. You've really set the bar high for me. So I'm not too sure if I'm going to be able to fit in your shoes. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to try and fit in your shoes. But before I always continue, I like double checking. I just want to double check if I'm in the right platform here. How many of you with a raise of hand can say that, Rial, I have never, ever complained in life? Never, ever complained in life. Seemingly, I'm in the right platform because, sometimes in life we go complaining about everything. Oh, the weather is really bad today. Traffic was worse than expected. My family drives me crazy sometimes. Oh, the movie was really disappointing. You name it. Though whining can be a way to build an inspiration, it can also keep us from acting, and it gives excuses time to procrastinate from achieving goals. One thing I've realized is that we usually complain in the wake of a negative situation. We tend to focus more on the problem than finding potential solutions. It's always much easier to complain than to find a solution. And individuals who whine on a regular basis, they're apt to have a bad health. So next time you'll find you complaining that, why do pizzas come in square boxes, yet they're round? And funny enough, they are cut in triangles. Does that sound like you? Yeah, please write this down, Bullying prevention. Bullying prevention. What comes into your mind when you hear the word bullying? Bullying, what comes into your mind? I just want you to give me a sign in the chat box. Just say it if you know the meaning of bullying, because really bullying happens when someone hurts or scares another person on purpose, and the person being bullied has hard time defending themselves. So I'm going to use a very simple language here because I know our audience will have from the age of 6, because they'll have to hear about bullying in schools, bullying in workplaces, bullying in communities. They'll have to hear this message. So everyone needs to get involved to help stop bullying. Good people, you really don't have to see the whole staircase in life, but you'll have to take the first step to get to the top. As my mentor always say, that you don't have to be great to get started, but you'll have to get started to become great in life. So my 6-year-olds, you don't have to be an adult to get started stopping bullying, but you'll have to get started as you are, because bullying is wrong. It is a behavior that makes the person being bullied feel afraid or uncomfortable. And there are many ways that young people bully each other, even if they don't realize it at that time that they are doing it. Because some of these include like punching, shoving, and other acts that hurt people physically, spreading bad rumors about people. It happens amongst adults, it happens amongst children, keeping certain people out of a group, like you're gonna pick your best friends and then sideline the other person, teasing people in a mean way and getting certain people to gang up on others, teasing people in a mean way. Yes, you do that. My 6 to 13-year-old, my adults, my all the adolescents, they do that. So it's high time we gain more knowledge on how we can all stop bullying, because we all have a voice, but not everyone knows how to use it. So as an advocate for human rights, I encourage change makers and educate them on the issue at hand so that their voices can be heard too. So I work with the individuals in charge, listening closely before calling out issues that need change. So I serve not just as a vocal protester, but I go one step further by encouraging these changes through education instead of merely telling government leaders why something needs fixing, which happens quite frequently. So good people, we really have to intervene in any bullying incident. Adult like us has a huge role to play, because intervening in bullying incident generally stops the behavior and it sends a message that this is not acceptable. So when intervening, like as an adult, you need to stay calm and ensure that everyone is safe. Listen attentively to all points of view and also determine if bullying is actually the case in this situation. And then ensure support is provided to the person impacted by the behavior, the person that is engaging in the behavior, as well as the bystanders witnessing the behavior. Make sure to take into account the age, maturity level, as well as the individual circumstances, because it is important that the person engaging in the bullying behavior has the opportunity to understand the impact or on their actions. So it's high time, this is high time to gain more knowledge on bullying prevention. So it's a wake-up call to everyone. But when that alarm clock goes off, please don't ever hit the snooze button. Don't be like, I will wake up in the next 2 minutes. I will wake up in the next 4 minutes. You know what? Forever is a long time. Why don't you wake up, get going, and make a difference? Make a difference to those around you in your community. Stop bullying, prevent bullying by all means. So our organization, it fills a critical role in the society by providing valuable services that governments may not always deliver. From poverty relief to human rights advocacy, we are the vital for supporting the vulnerable members of our community. So we are an integral part of society, and we are involved globally in human rights, climate change, as well as humanitarian aid. And there are many ways in which we need to persuade governments to adopt human rights related legislations. Some of these including like providing information for the general public through exhibits, side events, and formal speeches, or lobbying officials during meetings and negotiations. We need to be proactive in our communities, good people, because bullying prevention is an ongoing, collaborative, as well as problem-solving process that is an essential part of creating a welcoming, caring, respectful, and safe learning environments for everyone. So it requires a comprehensive approach. And with this comprehensive approach, trust me, there are no single solutions in this. It's a comprehensive approach, like I've mentioned. So we have key components on how we can actually prevent bullying from even taking place. I believe that adult leadership is the foundation for creating proactive and responsive bullying prevention strategies and modeling healthy relationships. So we, by building a common understanding, will make everyone aware of the importance of healthy relationships and how to nurture them, and what bullying behavior looks like, as well as how it affects people and how to respond and prevent it. So good people, as flight attendants always say, that put on your oxygen mask first before you assist others, because if you don't, you and the other person you're trying to help could possibly go down. So it's your time to put on that oxygen mask first by listening and practicing what I am sharing today on bullying prevention. Just as we personalize learning, we also need to personalize our approach to incidents of bullying in our communities. Why? I'm glad you've asked that, because every situation is different and it requires a unique solution. So there are ways for parents to prevent bullying, and then there are also ways for our amazing children out there to prevent bullying. So for our parents out there listening and watching under my voice, you'll have to listen to your children, or listen to those kids around you. If someone tells you bullying is happening, take action to stop it. If someone is exhibiting bullying behavior, let that person talk about his or her experiences and offer support in a non-judgmental way. Be a positive role model. Adults out there, be a positive role model, kings and queens. Set a good example, reinforce positive behavior, and create constructive leadership situations. As well as you'll have to set consequences. Make bullying unacceptable. By all means, make it unacceptable, and also get involved in your communities, bullying prevention initiative, as well as you'll have to share your concerns about bullying and your bullying ideas for preventing bullying in the community. So now we're coming back to our princesses and our princes. How can we prevent bullying? You know, you'll have to be part of the solution. If you see any bullying behavior, always tell an adult. If you see others being bullied, tell someone you trust. If you are being bullied, keep telling people until you get the help. Don't be afraid of telling and not getting response. Keep telling. You will finally get the help that you need. And also get involved in your school's bullying prevention initiatives. Take part in groups and school committees, speak about bullying prevention at assembles, join in events that teach bullying prevention skills, and be a leader to other kids. Be a good leader. 6 to 9, 10 to 13 adolescents, go out there and be a good leader. You know, it's so funny how my mom and dad gave me this beautiful, beautiful name, Nompumelelo. I know many, when they try to say my name, Nompumelelo, they always butcher my name. And it's okay, because I understand it's a long name, but Nompumelelo in my own language, it means mother of all success. So you can see that I am really, really challenged to chase after success. No matter what comes my way, I'll have to chase after success. If I may ask you, how many of you have dreams and goals that you want to achieve? Maybe, let me say, in the next 6 months. I know myself, I am one of those people. So just give me a sign, drop in the chat box if you have any dreams and goals that you want to achieve in the next 6 months. I'll come back and check. So if you have any dreams that you want to achieve, please write this down. Rise to greater heights. Rise to greater heights, because You need to be clear about your career goals in order for you to gain guidance on professional development. So as a human rights analyst, my purpose is so simple. My purpose is to teach everyone about human rights and help organizations understand and promote human rights. So I also make a difference by bringing solutions and educating others, because good people, remember that a right is a freedom of some kind. It doesn't matter where we were born or what kind of family we were born into. We all have the internal recognition of the moral quality of one's motives and actions. Nelson Mandela once said, to deny people their human rights is to challenge their very humanity. And trust me, this message stirs something within me. So I am a true advocate for creating new policies that uphold human rights and prevent human rights violations from even happening in the first place. So what I do, I consult on policies and procedures related to human rights compliance. I advise on behalf of best practices for implementing human rights programs. And I can also assist with the audits of operations against international standards. So I do research and help draft human rights related policies on discrimination at work, harassment at work, diversity and inclusion, patients' rights, and many, many more human rights related policies. So I have a duty of raising awareness of people's rights and providing solutions, because I believe that an essential thing in human rights is based on the principle of respect for the individual. So I work towards raising awareness and providing solutions, believing that the most critical thing in our species' right is based on moral grounds. So each individual deserves respect, no matter what they do or who they are. I so wish you can tell yourself that, you know what, I've had enough. It's high time I go out there and be the change that I want to see in this world. I go out there and make a difference in my community. But before you go out there and make a difference in your community, you've got to be hungry. You've got to be hungry like the hungry lion in the jungle. Really, that hungry lion in the jungle, it doesn't matter what kind of animal comes his way. It doesn't matter if you're that giant elephant or that small squirrel by the jungle. All that hungry lion sees in front of his face is lunch. It's so funny because even with elephants, when they see a lion, what they do is that they run. It's all about the mindset. Once you believe, you become. They already told themselves that, you know what, I am a lunch to that lion. So each and every time when I see a lion, I'll have to run. So I believe that's the lion mindset that we need in order for us to stop bullying in our communities, in order for us to prevent human rights violations. That's the lion mindset. You know, it's so funny, when I was in the 8th grade, I was nicknamed Phoenix. I was nicknamed Phoenix after writing a composition using the idiomatic expression that says, I rose from the ashes like a phoenix bird, meaning I became successful again. So for those of you who don't know the phoenix bird, the phoenix is a Greek mythological bird believed to rise from its own ashes after being buried like hundreds of years ago. This immortal creature acquires new life by rising from the ashes of its own ancestor, which represents our capacity for vision and success. So I want to encourage you, if you are watching and listening under my voice, that when your world comes crashing down, wear your scars to show how a phoenix feels like to die from inside, and trust in your own capability to rise from your own ashes, since the phoenix has to die, burn, experience pain before resurrection from its own ashes. Please write this down in conclusion. Resilience to greatness. Resilience to greatness. And I know you've heard this before, that your setback is your setup for your comeback. Your setback is your setup for your comeback. So if I can be honest with you, I don't know what goals you've set for the next 6 months. I don't know what dreams you have for your own future. But here is one thing I know about you. You are destined for greatness. Inside of you, God has put seeds of excellence. Those seeds are supposed to grow and flourish. But many people have become crippled by their past encounters, and some have stepped over other people to get to the top. But I believe that God has a better plan for every one of us. Your objective is what you were designed for and the reason why you live today. With God, I believe that we're all destined for greatness as long as we follow his strategy. This is when the growth commences, because discovering your gift and following God's idea will make you understand that you have everything around you to reach to your full potential. My everyday inspiration, Mr. Les Brown, he once said, if you had to die today, at this very moment, at this hour, what dreams, what ideas, what visions, what goals, what skills, what talents, and what books will die with you? And the late Dr. Miles Monroe once said, the richest place on this planet is the cemetery, because that's where all the goals, all the dreams, all the visions, all the talents, all the skills have been buried. Honestly, I don't know about you, but with me listening to all these amazing messages, it gave me sleepless nights. And I am proud, I am really proud that I started writing my book, Rise to Greater Heights, which is a comprehensive guide to turn your fears into greater success while seizing new opportunities. And I didn't stop there. Like, if you remember it very well, in May 25th, 2020, George Floyd died in police custody in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So I believe that we need to stand for a world where no one shall live in fear because of their condition, their color of their skin, and where the criminal justice system treats everyone fairly and equally. That's the reason why I decided to write Human Rights, which are God-given fundamental rights and freedoms. And I believe that everyone is born free and everyone has the right to life. So no one should ever be subject to such unjustified violence, because I believe that we are also equal in dignity. And I have so many books, so many books. What's holding you back? Is it fear, procrastination, distraction, mediocrity? What's holding you back? It's so essential to assess your goals, progress. You'll have to cultivate your mindset for success. And lastly, resilience to greatness. So I believe all these books has the potential to completely revolutionize every aspect of your life and career. And I also have a free transformation guide. It's available on my website, www.risetogreaterheights.com. With a free transformation guide, trust me, you'll be able to explore leadership, empowerment, being purpose-driven, mentorship, coaching, resilience to greatness, emotional intelligence, mental health, and many, many more topics, including spiritual growth. Because growing up, I didn't have much in life, because my father decided to have an early departure from this planet Earth. And thank God I missed that flight, because I'm still here, I'm still sharing my message, because I had everything because of my mama's love. I love you so much, Mom. So I think whosoever said that the sky is the limit was wrong. From today on, I, Dr. Riel and Kunene, believe that the sky is our point of view. So let's all rise to greater heights. Thank you so much, amazing speakers. Thank you. So right now we are at the end of the podcast. So please feel free to share your final thoughts on the subject, human rights, with the audience, as well as remember to share with the audience how they can reach out to you if you want to promote your book, if you have any events going on, anything that you want to share with the audience. Please, the floor is yours. I will give it to Rose. You can take the floor, the stage, Rose.
Hi, yeah. Sorry, I'll get used to this technology thing one of these days, I'm telling you. I just want to kind of finish with a thought, really. Like I said, myself and Jenny were available through My Life Autistic and the website, you know, mylifeautistic@gmail.com, social media. You know, if you need support, you need help. It is just me and Jenny at the moment, but we try and help and support as many people as we can. We'll signpost you to somebody that can maybe advise, you know, we will try and do something. So please get in touch. And like I said earlier, if you want to put a community comment or a caregiver comment, we're quite happy to look at that. Just, you know, get it across to us and what we can put it out in our network. I think the thing we need to remember is people are just as diverse as water. You know, creates power, sustenance, allows for growth and keeps people alive. You know, people make too many assumptions. You can't assume when it comes to anyone, because you could be looking at the ocean and thinking of a puddle. So stop making assumptions, stop assuming everybody's the same as you. Listen, talk, open communication, take down walls, because walls just stop people from touching your heart. Walls stop people from connecting. Walls, great for castles, not so good for people.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Rose. You can go ahead, Mary, and share your final thoughts on the topic and remind how the audience can reach out to you.
Okay, thank you all for being here. It's been so amazing. The thing I want you to take away is that PTSD can be cured. There is just a lot of stuff going around and people assume it's going to be with them forever and assume they're going to have these same triggers and that that's the way it's going to move, but that is not the way that it has to go. EMDR is there. There's some other somatic treatments that are available that are different from that traditional talk therapy, because it is not that I really believe these things are still happening in my head, but in my heart, I believed they were really still happening. So it's not just a mental thing that's going on. It is what it is that you believe in your heart and those kinds of things. They can change. You can get rid of triggers. It can happen to you. It is quite a process. That's why I do recommend my book, Unfreezing Trauma, my private journal of EMDR recovery. It goes through what happened in my sessions. It also has some comments from the therapist. So here's comments from the therapist at the end of each session to kind of pull it together. So you're not just all into crazy land with me, but coming back and seeing what it looks like from the outside as I'm doing it. It is a powerful therapy. It's used for all kinds of things. And it is an individual therapy. It's not what somebody does to you. It's what they open up and you do and realize and see for yourself. So that's a very important part of it, is that it is under your control. It's not somebody doing something to you. We've had enough of that, We want to do stuff on our own, and this is EMDR is the way to go. So if you want to contact me, go to the unfreezingtrauma.com and hit contact me. It'll go to my email, which I'll put down right here. It's unfreezingtrauma911@gmail.com. So if you have questions, if you want to find a therapist, if you are wondering if EMDR is for you, if you're having trouble, because it's hard to get that energy together for it, reach out, talk to me about it. We will be fine.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. Amazing speakers. I'm looking at our audience here. Let me just read their comments. Daniel Thomas, he's saying that keep up the great work. And yes, we will. We're not going to stop, my brother. Thank you so much for encouraging us. I can see Pili Lemzomba is watching, and Susan Fraser is also with us. Mariah Cox.
That's my mom, Susan Fraser. That's my mom.
Oh, wow.
So my mom's watching. I didn't swear, Mom.
Hey, Mom.
Hi.
Mariah is also watching. Princess Sebe is watching. Okay, Princess Sebe was asking, can you please? Okay, yeah, she was asking if you can repeat the meaning of EMDR. And Lucille Murray, she's watching. She's saying, Canada blessings. Yes, sis, we can see you there. And yeah, and many, like we have an amazing audience today, and they've been really inspired from all of your messages, and they've been motivated. So thank you so much for your time, amazing speakers. And I hope our audience will reach out to you, because they will need to. They are being forced to reach out to you, because you know, knowledge, they always say knowledge is power. So I believe the knowledge that you have, sharing it to another person, it's going to come back to you like tripled. It's going to come back to you, that you change the world with the knowledge that you have. So thank you, amazing speakers today. So to our audience online, thank you so much for joining us today at Rise to Greater Heights Network, where you can turn your fears into greater success while seizing new opportunities. I hope from all these amazing messages, from all these amazing speakers, you've been inspired, you've been motivated, and you are ready to rise to greater heights. So do join us next week at the same time, same place. Thank you. Merci. Siyabonga.
Let him laugh, let him weep, let him yell, let him sing. Only one I say. Let him lay me traps and men to pray to Jehovah, me I pray. Let him laugh, let him weep, let him yell, let him sing. Only one I say. Let him lay me traps and men to pray to Jehovah, me I pray. Let I be me instead of playing games. For chasing fame, let somebody spread the lack of flames. No, living my life to the fullest and shout out my halala to the fullest. Let my lungs out. I'm still rising up to greater heights as long as